A very, very warm welcome on behalf of SIETAR Europa. My name is Joanna Zell. I'm very, very happy to host so many SIETArians tonight. Tonight we've got a very special guest, power women from 3 different continents, so to say. And Barbara Covarrubias-Venegas is joining us from Argentina currently. Sveta Buko is joining us from Slovenia. Aitne Knapic from south of Austria, beautiful Carinthia, and Anna Zinenko from Barcelona, sunny Barcelona. So we've got plenty of people joining us. A very, very warm welcome. You are very welcome to share in the chat window where your feet touch the ground. And today we are going to focus on a fantastic project, Global Case Study Challenge, that actually was awarded by the Austrian Ministry of Education as a very innovative program for students. Actually, in the meantime, 1,450 students. So a big applause for the ladies, because these 4 ladies are in charge of such a successful program. And we already see in the chat window people joining from France, from the USA, from Germany, from London, Zimbabwe, from Russia, from Japan. So wow, Italy, Slovakia, a very, very warm welcome. Thank you very much for joining. 4 ladies, 4 fantastic insights, how actually they inspire the students with the Global Case Study Challenge. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Joanna, for the warm intro, and welcome everybody to today's presentation. We want to talk about how we plan, design, and facilitate rock in the virtual space. We're going to discuss what elements in terms of didactical designs, what factors we are focusing on when we're designing extraordinary and memorable virtual learning journeys. You already have seen it's 4 of us. So again, here a quick overview. We're all connecting from different countries, and there's also another fact. We're all living in different countries, actually, and there is not yet had been a meeting or a meeting where we all 4 had the chance to be in the same place, and still as a global virtual team, we were able to work together very successfully over the past years. And through the Global Case Study Challenge, we are designing virtual team buildings, virtual learning journeys to also show our students, our learners, on how they can become successfully working together in global virtual teams. So what are we going to talk about? We're talking about the key factors, as we also proposed the title in the title of the webinar, the key factors on how to design extraordinary and virtual learning journeys. And in our opinion, there are 3 pillars that need to be considered. First of all, it is about design and how you consider interaction and cooperative elements in the design already. Second pillar for us is delivery. Delivery, as you can see, we are 4 lecturers, we are 4 co-facilitators, and we are also not only co-designing, but also co-facilitating our live sessions. This is the second pillar and the second key aspect for extraordinary and memorable virtual learning journeys. Design and delivery, and the third aspect is assessment. We're going to walk you through how we are assessing and connecting learning objectives and competency development in our 2-month learning journey. So let's dive into what the Global Case Study Challenge is, because it is a Coil project. And with that, we would love to hear from you. And Anna is now going to share with you a poll possibility. So we encourage you to take out your cell phones. You know that, oh, I did not know until 2 months ago that you can just open up the camera, you put the camera towards the QR code, and immediately you can go to the webpage of our polling system. So when you do that, a question will be popping up for you because we would love to hear from you and to know from you. What do you associate with Coil? So when you enter the presentation, when you go there, you enter your name, then you can join our polling tool, AHA Slides. And we would love to know from you, what do you associate with Coil? Maria, you can also see here the link, and anybody else who prefers not using a QR code, but rather go with the link on top of the screen, you see ahaslides.com/GCSC. Fantastic. I'll give you a few more moments so that also those who are joining with the link can post and can let us know what they associate with Coil. Great word cloud coming up. Fantastic. And it's moving and it's moving. And we see in the middle something, the biggest word that is staying there, it's collaboration. And exactly, Coil, one of the big pillars and the key aspects of organizing a Coil project is all about collaboration. And we already mentioned that because we consider collaboration in the design, but also in the delivery and in the assessment of our virtual learning journey. So we have here innovation, language, we have rope, some people don't know, technical device, innovative curriculum, intercultural, absolutely, service learning, a bond across borders, across cultures. And some also mentioned online, and I see there lesming, which I'm not so familiar with as a word. I'm not sure, Ethne, native speaker, some help there?
I'm looking for the word you were. I think that's supposed to be learning. It's just a mistake, Barbara. Learning.
Oh God. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Now I got it. In the horizontal version, it's easier to understand. Learning, good. Absolutely. So thank you very, very much. And exactly, we already had the pillars of Coil here in this word cloud. So Coil stands for Collaborative Online International Learning. A synonym used in the field of higher education to describe Coil very often is a virtual exchange project. The important aspects are here, Coil. It means collaboration, student interaction, which means if one of us or one of you is invited to give a guest lecture in Zimbabwe, for example, we have a colleague here from Zimbabwe, and you as a guest lecturer, you just connect via Microsoft Teams or via Zoom, and you give the guest lecture there. That's not a virtual exchange or Coil because there's no collaboration, because there is not really an interaction with your students and the Zimbabwe students. Online, it means it's online or virtual, or very often also in a blended format. Particularly in the past 2 years, virtual Coils, online Coils the numbers have risen a lot. International, it's multicultural, and it's also multicultural from a perspective of the lectures. It's co-taught. In the I in Coil. And last but not least, lasering, what I didn't understand in the word cloud, learning, it's experiential learning. Why? Because all our learners, they go through several activities where they experience what it means to work in a global virtual team together. So this is what Coil is. Coils can be as small as 2 universities connecting and co-designing a course and doing something together, or bigger, where, for example, 10 or 12 lecturers work together with their students on case studies. Coil and virtual exchange is a classical strategy that higher education institutions follow in their internationalization at home strategies. Why? Because we do know that according to UNESCO data, only 2% of students can study abroad physically, because many of the students, they're studying part-time, they're working, so they cannot just go abroad for an Erasmus or joint study project abroad. That is why virtual exchange helps also those who might not be able, for whatever reason, to go abroad, to have an international experience. Also, it provides our learners with online collaborative learning. So since the pandemic, many of us have been online learning or collaborating online, but Coil is a concept that has evolved over the past 20 years. Intercultural and digital skills is the last aspect, because a Coil always involves cross-border activity. So we always talk about an international component there, where universities or lecturers from different countries are connecting. So I also see that the question is if it's only an academic concept. Well, Coil indeed is very often used in academia, but also we do find much more of those international projects in, for example, schools or other educational training institutions, but it was mainly developed in an academic setting. We also know, and just to repeat that, only 2% of the students in our higher education systems can really study abroad. So now we would love, as we set the scene, to see what Coil is, because we're going to present you a Coil project. We also would love to see and hear from you. You heard now what Coil is. Would you know, or could you let us know if you have already participated in such a virtual exchange or Coil project? Just a quick yes or no in the chat. Have you already participated or developed or designed or organized such a Coil project? Fantastic, great, great. So I think that looks like 50-50, and Corinne even has designed one for a company. So we see a high diversity. They're fantastic. Corinne would love to do something at high schools. We can also exchange on that. We have project partners who do a lot at high school level, and we would love to hear from you also, Corinne. Connect with us to know what you're doing for companies there, because we have our virtual internship program for companies running. Thank you very much. Great, great, great. And there's also Kimberly saying for corporate trainings. So now let's dive into what the Global Case Study Challenge is about. Afne.
Yeah, thank you very much. So also a warm welcome for me. It's lovely to have so many of you here, and it's great we have such a diversity of experience in the virtual space as well. So Barbara told you about how we developed this Coil. We really do think of it as an extraordinary and memorable learning journey for our participants, both the students and the educators who joined us. And we'll tell you about also some of the ways that we evaluate and assess the Global Case Study Challenge towards the end of today's webinar. But one of the things that I'll go into maybe a little bit of detail on, or at least tell you about, is the iterative process that we've had to design this global virtual exchange for students and educators. So there are 4 of us, of course, in total. We've been designing this. Barbara and I started in 2018 with a colleague in Buenos Aires for the first edition. And at that point, we started with 90 students, and it has expanded since then. So you can see, and I know Nadezhda, you were hoping for some information again on the numbers that have participated. In total, we've had 1,450 students go through the Global Case Study Challenge. We've had a total of 340 teams working together. So we generally set up the Global Case Study Challenge, and we'll tell you about the didactics and how we run it as well, where we have global virtual teams of 5 to 7 students, and we guarantee, of course, that they are from different parts of the world. So they're not all from, let's say, the Austrian, Slovene, Italian borders in a team. So we try to make it as diverse as possible. We've had a total of 50 educators work with us, and we have a very close connection with our educators. In fact, our educators were really so much interested in the collaborative process that we've also almost developed a track for educators themselves, and also a certificate program. So we'll tell you a little bit about the educators and how they get involved in the Global Case Study Challenge as well. So we've had 30 universities and a total of 20 different countries across the globe involved in this. I know the previous slide and showed, Joanna also very kindly mentioned that this is an award-winning project. We've had a number of awards, and I suppose the most the one that was particularly important was a recent peer-reviewed award. And I think that's important because, you know, in terms of designing online learning experiences, it's very important to also have some peer feedback. So we try to really take into consideration all of the didactical components. We have our specific outcomes that we're hoping that students have, and then we also assess. So and if I could ask you maybe to briefly move on to the next slide, and then I will talk very briefly about what our 3 pillars are. So in terms of this, we've described it now as a global work competence model, and you may also have seen on the previous slide that we feel we're almost creating a community of people that are interested in global, sustainable, and conscious communities. So the 3 pillars, initially we started off with 2, I should say. So the first 2 pillars we worked on, and competencies that we wanted our participants to develop, were intercultural communication competencies and digital communication competencies. And in 2018, we hadn't really gone through this sort of COVID online, pivot to complete online teaching. But we'd already recognized the value of that, and we really felt that these were upcoming skills that our young professionals needed to develop. Then with Anna and SIETAR, who joined the team, we expanded again the design of the program, and we also incorporated the sustainability component. And this is really thanks to Anna Zinenko, who is our sustainability expert. So we've also really recognized the importance of developing sustainability competences, and again, not only among our students but also among our educators. So you'll see that these are the 3 core pillars that we work with. These are the competencies that we want to develop, and our whole didactical design is designed to enhance these 3 elements. And as you can see also from the slide, I mean, this sort of really is extremely accessible for anybody who's involved in internationalization at home. Barbara already mentioned that we try to also cater for those people who are interested in mobilities, who maybe aren't in a position where they can travel for extended periods of time to other countries. So we really create this wonderful international, intercultural scenario as part of the Global Case Study Challenge. This project is extremely career oriented, so we're really talking about competency development, and we also make sure that the participants are aware at the end of this journey how they can then apply the competencies that they have learned and transfer their knowledge and really promote them in a work professional career related setting. Experiential learning, Barbara also mentioned, is extremely important. This is a project-based learning program, and we'll tell you a little bit more about what exactly we get the participants to work on when Anna presents also the timeline and the cases that we use for the Global Case Study Challenge. And the last point maybe also sort of leads into what we'll talk about a little bit later. Empirical data. For us, it was always important to know that really we were evaluating and assessing, and that we could guarantee, not only from qualitative information that we have from our participants, but also from a quantitative perspective, that participants are really progressing over the course of the 10 weeks while they're participating in this Global Case Study Challenge. So that's the model. Those are the 3 pillars. And yeah, I think I will ask Anna to move on, please, and we'll continue.
Thank you, Esne. So talking about global case study challenge and its case study in it, and it involves around case studies. So when we are designing this journey, for us was really important as well to take into consideration what would be the case study our students are working on. And we are focusing a lot on career development, so they have to be real world based case studies. So when Esne and Barbara started, they've been using throughout 3 editions of Global Case Study Challenge case studies. Maybe for some of you, it's this familiar book by Christopher Barmeyer and Peter Franklin. That is an excellent book on intercultural management, and a lot of excellent cases are there. And our students been using, and we've been working on the cases from that book. And it was great. However, we are co-designing the journey. So one thing is to use case studies that are not developed by us. The next level, this is already an evolution step of this memorable journey, to co-design case studies that are particularly tailor-made for our cohort of students, for those international students, for the competencies we want them to develop, and for their as well objectives and topics we want them to focus on. And what exactly important as well, later on I will be focusing a little bit later on it, but as we embedding sustainability in every aspect of Global Case Study Challenge, as well for us was very important to embed into case studies sustainable development goals, for instance, and how companies are developing their strategies and activities and trying to contribute to the achievement of sustainable development goals. So we are very happy and very excited that last year we worked really hard with multinational company that has more than 130 employees around the world, and we co-authored our team. So it's Barbara, Esne, Svetlana, and me co-authored with this company as well case studies that for now been in internal use, so they're exclusively for the participants of Global Case Study Challenge. And when we say participants, it's not meaning just students, but also for educators, for professors that are joining with the students. So what is really important as well to emphasize, Esne and Barbara already mentioned quite a lot about what competencies we are focusing for students, what is there, what are the benefits that are coming for students that are participating, a part of as well career-oriented and digital skills development, and their real world practice of intercultural skills that they're developing. We are also focusing a lot on other part of our stakeholders, because when you're developing the journey, but also really important to take into account all of your stakeholders. And for us, on the same level as students, Global Case Study Challenge, we could say, is for students, but it is also for educators, it is also for professors, it is also for their professional development, because we on this online journey, we're also focusing on developing the skills such as, for instance, facilitation skills in the virtual environment as well. So this is something we are showing, and we are also training in a way with educators, as well as we are working hard on also on sustainable partnership with the tools that can contribute to better learning in virtual environments. For instance, last year as well, we partnered with Miro, we partnered with Yaha Slides that you just used recently, and we are using Genially as our tool for the presentations, the ones that I'm sharing right now, and we also partner with them. And this is something as well that all of our partners are willing to share, what is the best way, what are the base keys, how is the best way to use these different digital schools in the tools, in a virtual environment. So this is really important as well, what we can contribute to the educators. And also what we emphasize a lot is collaboration and peer exchange, because imagine how rich it is, how rich could be our discussions, our meetings, when we have educators from all over the world, coming from different backgrounds, different systems of education, and different expertises. So as a part of it, we developed educational, experiential professional development as well, where we, for instance, have in our learning journey for and participation for educators, co-grading lab, as well as, let's say, the same case study lab as well, where we more in depth discussing the case studies, co-grading conference as well, to discuss a different approach on grading, because despite the fact we have rubrics, as well there, how everyone grades is very different. So just to emphasize, it's really important on as well to take into consideration when you're developing the content and when you think about delivery, all the stakeholders that are participating in your learning journey. And I will be passing the word to Svetlana, who is going to talk about how we are doing it. What is the process? What is the timeline as well of this learning journey?
Here comes the story, what is happening inside of the magic. How do we make it memorable and extraordinary? Well, what are we doing in general with Global Case Study Challenge? Barbara, Ethna, and Anna just unpacked for you the concepts of educational models and competences. But at the end of the day, we are developing global virtual teams. We're picking young people from different parts of the world. We're putting them through the 2 months of experience, and they come in as a group and they get out of this experience as a team, as a global virtual team who can connect, who can recognize sustainable decisions in the global virtual environment. These people know how to tackle time differences, cultural differences, language differences. They know how to handle intercultural issues in business, and they know how to deliver in the virtual intercultural space. You'd say, wow, how is it done? Okay, that slide really takes you to the backstage and explains to you how it is designed. As we said from the very beginning, there are 3 elements, the 3 pillars of memorable and really impressive way to design the virtual journeys, which is linked to really the structure of the design, then the structure of the delivery method, and then the assessment. And it's all here. How we start, okay, we make sure that at the very beginning, we mix the synchronous and asynchronous work. So we definitely make sure that there are the check-in sessions where all of the students, and imagine, 600 students in one virtual room, where they listen to the lecture, where they get engaged, they participate, they share their experiences in small groups, and they are able to use the new technologies and new tools to actually experience what is virtual collaboration as we're speaking. Those 2 check-in sessions are called also these student live sessions on the collaboration and the GVTs or global virtual teams. And we also try to teach them virtually and to show and to demonstrate how to co-facilitate, how to present in the virtual space. On top of this, the majority of the work is structured so that they work through the Moodle platform. We also worked in the past with Canvas, where once they're put into the teams, then they first have to make sure that they go through the team formation process and learn asynchronously through very important foundational aspects of our concept of learning, which is of course about sustainability. So the first element and the first part of the learning is when they explore what is sustainability, what is sustainable thinking and decision making. They explore the setup that is designed by Anna in January, where it's based on the exploratory learning, and then they take a quiz as a part of the assessment. Once this is done, we also know by this time, they also kind of form the teams because it's not a smooth element. They need to connect. There's a time difference, there's culture difference. Some people may be doing it for the first time. And, to tell you the truth, a lot of our students are doing it for the first time. So they're afraid, they're not sure how to start. So we really built in this first initial block we designed for synchronous and asynchronous communication so that they come through all of the stages, from the norming, forming to the performing stage of the global virtual team. And then what happens? Then the magic starts, right? They get the cases and they start working on the cases. And this is not just a case from the book, it's the case from the real company. And this last year was incredible because company was going through the merger and rebranding as we were teaching. Right? So students really understood that according to the cases, a lot of the organizations are really facing those issues that are related to intercultural clashes, virtual communication, communication within the corporate section, and they offered their solutions as small teams. Right? Of course, we always make sure that those students understand that they're working with the real life scenarios, because we always try to connect what they're doing in the classroom, what they're doing in the small teams to the real world. That's the key thing, as Ethna has mentioned, experiential learning. everything by experience. Then the next element, which is also very important, is of course, the global conference, because they need to learn how to present virtually together. And with the global virtual conference is one of the most, important and paramount milestones in this delivery process and in the design process, because this is where the magic happens and everything comes together. We have our business people, we have our educators, then we have our students already in groups who have solved the case and are ready to demonstrate their skills of intercultural competencies, digital competencies, and sustainability to present together and get assessment from the peers, and then from the educators, and then from our certification cohort as well. And then after that, of course, we also do the assessment and the elements, and we get together with our educators and make sure that they understand the grading criteria, they understand intercultural aspects of providing different feedback in the virtual space. And we all align, we make sure that everybody is under the same denominator and provides the feedback as it is usually happening in the virtual space in the corporate sector too. So there's a formative and then the summative element too. On top of this, we do the debrief with managers and we do the debrief with our educators to make sure that it's all connected to the educational and to the corporate sector. Do we develop teams? Yes, we do. How do we know that? Because we have data, right, Anna? And if you show us the slide, we'll be able to see that, And with this also, we'll say that it's fun and memorable. And I'll give the floor to Barbara to explain how we include the gamification component in this.
Thank you very much. So what we already mentioned is we're looking for sustainable partnerships. And one of our first partners was Miro, the online whiteboard collaboration tool or collaboration tool. And with Miro, we created a space for our students and for our educators where we were running the whole conference on. So as Sveta was mentioning, the big bang, the big thing at the end of the virtual learning journey is the Global Virtual Conference. It's a half-day conference. It's a very classical setting, to say so. We have a keynote speaker at the beginning, we have a welcome from our sponsors, then we move into different rooms. Those are the subtracks where the students are presenting their cases, but we of course wanted to create a particular atmosphere. So we onboarded our students already a few days ahead onto our platform on Miro, and what you can just see here is our universe, our Global Case Study Challenge universe, with a lot of interactive elements that we were using in order to enhance the learning experience. One thing that was developed by us 2 years ago, and this year we slightly changed the dynamics, was a picture challenge. So we do have our sponsors, and we wanted our students to become creative around what GCSE stands for. GCSE is a Global Case Study Challenge, but GCSE also stands for Global Conscious Sustainable Communities. And we asked our students to provide us with pictures showing those 4 elements. And it was amazing. We were getting a lot of submissions from our students, and on this Miro board, we had the possibility to vote for the winner in a live setting. Besides that, we were having their conference pictures and more things shared, our sketch notes shared, because we had during the conference a sketch artist, the photographer was there, and all of those things were also shared afterwards on the Miro board. And what we want to do with Miro and using Miro and providing our learners to see a different setting is to show them that there is a real possibility for fantastic virtual collaboration if we know how to work together virtually, but also what tools to use. And just recently, an HBR article was published on why you can even be more productive when you brainstorm virtually. And all of these elements are packed into our virtual learning journey. Thanks a lot.
And now I will jump in with a part also of it with sustainability integration. So how do we integrate into this learning journey sustainability? So this is first year where we started looking at creating an awareness among our student participants and also professors, because taking in consideration that many of our professors are also coming from different backgrounds and different fields of faculties of studies as well. So overall, within the program as an organization, we made ensure that we create sustainable partnership, we take sustainable decisions in a small scale and a big scale. So how we want to run a program, what type of learning management system are we using, as well, with whom we are partnering, and even to the smaller scale decisions where like what we include in our sustainability of our welcome package as well. So this is some smaller decisions, but as well we try to integrate SDGs in all the steps. So we are definitely, for the countries and participants, we have administrative fees that are not very high, but still there is a countries that are not capable, or maybe they don't have funds to be able to pay, but they want their students to have this experience, this memorable experience. So definitely there is a waiver stipends available for countries, and we will have an interview. We would have interview with individual institution, and we would understand their situation and take a decision. And definitely we try to hold as well, you know, almost 50% of those that are participating for fees and without the fee. So this is from organizational perspective, but then within the learning journey as well, we working the talk, and we are trying to see and show our examples of global case study challenge in our decision making, but at the same time we want to incorporate, not in a very, you know, really a formal way, but very informal way as well, sustainability awareness. This year, I was particularly very surprised that students were, many of them were not really aware about the existence even of sustainable development goals. And when they were exploring, and we were analyzing the data as well, which SIETAR will talk just in a minute about it, we were very surprised that, you know, how the evolution as well came. And for us was important, as we're focusing cases on real organization, a company, multinational company, and the cases, despite the fact they revolve around merger and acquisition and rebranding process, and they're focusing on human resource management, CSR, change management as some of the examples within this organization, we still make sure that each of the cases address some of SDGs or that organization decided to contribute towards, that they emphasized in their sustainability report as well. So this is all reflected not just within the quizzes students are taking, and the quiz is not to check on their knowledge, but really to raise their awareness. So the questions are more of exploratory than memorization, obviously, type of the question, just for you to understand. And for the upcoming editions, we definitely will follow this strategy, but we also will try to raise it. And what was Barbara was mentioning about challenge, picture challenge, and their as well participation of the students, what was very impactful was that most of the picture contest, gamification contest submissions were evolving around SDGs and sustainability. So we can really see from the examples they are providing, it took an impact. Despite the fact when we were announcing Global Case Study Challenge, we were not really emphasizing SDG as sustainability, but it's also something that was very important and they learned along the road as well. And so now coming to, is it working, and how the assessment and data is collected, and what are the results as well of the development? Svetlana.
Right, of course. At the end of the day, do you have a proof that the program is working, correct? And how do you give a proof to business people? With data, okay, with hard data. So what we did from the very beginning, we said, okay, we're definitely in love with the program. As you can see, it's not like we're overly motivated and we're driven by this, but we also believe that it's very important to have the baseline and to understand what kind of things do we want to collect to understand that the program is working. So we did the program assessment. The data that we collected was about the program retention. Okay, imagine 1,450 students, okay, over the course of the 4 iterations. The question is, how many of them stay? Okay, how many drop out for some particular reason? Look at the score, 96% of retention score in the project. So even though it's very difficult for many of them, it's the first experience, it's coordination with the professors around the world, many of them are really afraid to work internationally. They still stay, they stick because they enjoy and they're resiliently going through the challenges. Second element, we also looked at the timeliness of the submissions of the assignment for the 2 months of the project. Look, 99%. That means that all of the students respected the deadlines, navigated the complexity of uploading the assignments to the systems that we have created, hence demonstrating understanding of the requirements too. And of course, participation in the live interactive sessions and expert lectures, the ones that we talked about, the synchronous activities, is 85%. Remember, we gave them a chance to watch the lectures after the events, the memorable events after, but majority of them have decided to join just for the sake of the energy of the experience of the live sessions too. But that's not all. That's not all what we have measured, correct? Yeah, because we really try to get to the core. If we say that it is developing the competencies, this is what Ethne showed you at the beginning of the presentation. We said, well, the skills are improving, the knowledge are improving, and the attitudes are improving, both for the intercultural competencies and for the digital competencies. Prove it, right? So we designed the longitudinal study, and we made sure that we measure at the very beginning, before they start the program, before they start actually the component of the sustainability quiz. And then at the end, after they do the presentation, we made sure that we have the quantitative data from all of them. So for the intercultural survey, we used the value rubric. This is our Purdue partner, the 14 questions Likert scale self-assessment. Okay, it was administered virtually at the beginning and at the end of the program. And then the digital communication survey, which was designed based on the DigiComp 2.0, again, also Likert scale. We've additionally added this year the sustainability component, and we've added another 14 questions, right? And the results are fantastic, okay? Because we have a data to prove that over the course of the 2 months, skills, knowledge, and attitudes are developing, as you can see it here, okay? And we are presented this at IVEC conference. This is the biggest, the most prominent international event about the Coil and collaboration, and we're preparing the publication right now on this and looking at the data from the sustainability tool. So this is very important because it proves the point. That makes us very happy that we really impact the development of the teams within the competences and link this experiential journey to the future of the work. That these people come out of these 2 months more interculturally competent, more digitally competent, and more with sustainability thinking as well. So that's what we have. And at the end, again, to reiterate, so whenever anything is designed for the virtual space, whether for the corporate, for the higher education, for the middle school, it's not important. It's the same story. It's about the architecture. And architecture of the design is, of course, about the designing. It's not about the content, but about how the content is structured within the virtual learning journey. Then about the delivery, of course, synchronously, asynchronously, 4 people presenting, 1 person presented. Is it there? Is it the macro learning video? Is this the flipped classroom? Is it the reflection? Is it the testing? Can be whatever you want, collaborative presentation. And of course, we never forget about the assessment, because it's about performance, it's about presence, it's about engagement, and it's about the competency development. That's all we've got.
I think, Veta, what here perfectly fits in is one of the questions that we also got in the chat. Maybe we just pick it up here. Ethne was answering on that, is how do we design and facilitate, deliver for student engagement? And I just give you a few examples, and I hope you, Ethne, Sveta, and Anna, just to jump in. So what we, for example, do is, for us, it is very important to provide to our learners, because we are a super big group. So imagine we are around 400 learners. For many students coming from small-sized courses with 40 other learners, this might feel intimidating. So the one thing that we want to make sure from the very first moment on is that we create a safe space, a safe atmosphere where students really feel comfortable to connecting, to showing themselves via camera, to putting their voices also and their comments also in the chat. How do we do that? We tend to believe, or we like to believe, that one thing that makes us feel comfortable when you enter a room that you feel maybe like a little bit alone or intimidated by the many other faces that you see, something that helps is music. So as simple as it sounds, we start with our own playlist. We always have music, and we try to make our learners feel more relaxed and feel more welcome and safe in the space we are creating, the virtual space. The music is not just one AirCase playlist from any famous DJ, no. The music is also a very good element and example of collaboration, because we are co-creating a collaborative playlist on Spotify. So in the first live session, for example, we are using the playlist from the last year, and then we are adding songs on a new playlist, or our student learners, they add songs to a new playlist. And imagine how that feels if you join a room and in the breaks, or when we are moving into breakout rooms, we're always using music. Suddenly you hear your favorite song, because each and everybody is invited to add their song. This is one thing that we do to just make them feel welcome, give them really a good atmosphere. What we do know, and this is also design and delivery, we co-design and co-deliver our sessions, and we always design for interaction. So small interactions are happening more or less every 7 to 8 minutes. Whether it is just a show of hands, it is typing something in the chat, but we're constantly interacting with our audience. You know that where are lecturers losing their students? It is in the first 3 minutes, because we start talking without giving our participants a voice. And that is also why we really reverse that. We start with our participants, and we have different fun icebreakers, more or less fun, or more fun or less fun icebreakers that we are using, and we're playing around. They are also evolving, of course, to include all our participants in the live sessions. We are also working a lot with questions and include asynchronous elements where participants can ask questions asynchronously, and we pick them up in the live sessions. And of course, maybe Adna, you want to dive into how we use the breakout rooms in this big global context in our live sessions as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Barbara. Well, just like we've been using today, breakout rooms we haven't used. We use a lot of AHA slides. We try and make sure that we use the chat function so that everybody is involved. The breakout rooms we use regularly so that the students are not only always integrating with their own team members, but so that they also get the possibility to exchange with others participating in the Global Case Study Challenge. And I think that's really wonderful. We have limited time in the live sessions, of course, so we very consciously design our breakout rooms to maximize the interaction, but to also give us enough time to provide content and input. And maybe one of the things we can add as well is we offer each of the live sessions twice. So you saw that also on the timeline that Sveta presented. So we do 2 of exactly the same live sessions every time we have a live session, because we want to facilitate people from different parts of the world joining at times that are more appropriate for them. And in addition to that, and I think this is also something that we've seen has been used a lot this time around, we make all of our live sessions available via a live channel. So we record everything and we make it available for those students who are unable to attend. So yeah, and I think that's also important because it means that they're not losing out on any of the information and they're still, you know, up to date and interacting with their group. One of the things that we do, I think that is the most important, and we developed this, I think, in the 3rd iteration, and now it's, you know, we're very happy with this. We've seen this work extremely well in the 4th iteration, is really focusing on the team building component at the beginning. So Sveta mentioned one of our activities, or assessed activities, is actually a team video reflection on the team building activity that they've chosen. So we give them, of course, ideas about how to, how to engage with their team, what sort of icebreakers to use, how to get to know each other. And this seems to really impact the team dynamic. And I think that's something that's important. And maybe 2 other things that I would mention. I think one of the ways of making sure that students are engaged is that we really make it relevant to students. So what we're working on, what we're talking about, the cases that we're using are so relevant. We make sure that we put this sort of career-oriented program really in the career space. So we know that the skills that we're developing are skills that are needed. They're new work skills. They're skills that we're using in education and training and in work. So I think that's also something that's important. I don't know if Sveta or Anna, if there's anything we've left out in terms of engagement. Maybe, for example, how we cope, because of course we do have students. We have very few, we're happy to say, but very few students who don't participate. And we also have built into our assessment of participation how to deal with those students. So we do interact very strongly with our educators. And I think this is also a way of maintaining student engagement. Most of the educators that we work with use the Global Case Study Challenge either as a standalone project or they embed it in one of their courses. And as part of our coaching at the beginning, when we meet all of our educators and we meet them also individually, we talk about how to best embed the Global Case Study Challenge as part of a bigger course. Yeah, so I think that's probably enough information.
Fantastic, ladies. It's fascinating. And actually, I had also the pleasure to join your version of the conference, and the atmosphere was amazing. So what you have just emphasized, Barbara, with music, and you have just emphasized with, you know, this very, very interactive setting, it simply works. So this is just, you know, the perspective of the participant. We have plenty of questions. Nevertheless, you power women, you have answered all of them during the presentation, either orally or here in the chat. And yes, here, of course, many people want to hear more. The link is in the chat. So whoever is interested to join, I'm sure you can contact all of our speakers directly on LinkedIn, via LinkedIn, also via email. All your contact data are, of course, over there. So yes,
maybe can I just very briefly mention, yeah, because I know we do have the question about fees and it's already been added to the chat. So the fees that we charge are purely administrative. So it's just for the administration. But also to note that we do, of course, have fee waivers depending on the specific contexts. So just, you know, also in keeping with, you know, making this program accessible to all, we do talk about that. So also that's part of the application process. If there's a need for a fee waiver, then we talk about the possibility of that.
Thank you very, very much. And thank you, Sveta, for your comment, right? Just right now, the very last comment in the chat window. This is exactly the point regarding, you know, the success of teaching. It's not about the tools, it's not about the methods, it's really about the energy everybody brings to the room. And both the educators and the students are extremely motivated. So it's really, really, you know, the key to your success as well.
Just one thing to add also, I guess this practice orientation in the new work and the hybrid and the virtual environments that are hitting all of the companies and organizations right now, we truly believe that GCSE prepares the students to be better with their careers after they finish this learning journey. We truly believe, and we have the data to confirm, that that type of particular design makes them more aware about what is hybrid learning, what is online learning, and what is intercultural learning, and what is sustainable thinking at the end. And for us, we believe that if this cohort enters the workforce, and they will create better organizations at the end, because they will be thinking sustainably and they will be leading the change. And that's what we want. We want to build better organizations at the end.
Mm-hmm. And let me just pick up on the question from Goitem. So how do interested institutions go about integrating their course in their curricula? So Goitem, there are different ways, but most of our lecturers are joining with their course. They might be teaching human resource management, cross-cultural management. Some of them are teaching English. Some of them are teaching social responsibility. We had marketing lectures, international business, bachelor level, master's level, and also even PhD students joining. But most of the students are from bachelor programs, just to be also very transparent with that. And what lecturers are doing is, depending on how big their original course is, so how many ECTS, if we talk about the European context, how many ECTS your course has, sometimes the Global Case Study Challenge can be the whole course, if it fits into what you said or what you design your learning objectives for. And sometimes what I do, for example, I join with my course Organizational Culture and Cross-Cultural Management. Half of the course is graded by the participation in the Global Case Study Challenge. Half of the course is a different things that I'm teaching with my students. So that is what in most of the cases happening. And more or less, we recommend, if there is the possibility, to award around 1.5 ECTS, please correct me if I'm wrong, team,
yeah,
1.5 to 2 ECTS, because it is a 2-month journey. And even though there are not so many live sessions, as you have seen, it's really manageable, but as you can imagine, the process really takes time. Most of the students are for the first time involved in virtual, intercultural, global teams working across time zones. And this just needs a lot of time to figure out how they're going to work together. Even though you're all teaching, probably many of you have 80% of Gen Z in their courses. Most of them are not really yet familiar with how to work collaboratively together in the virtual space. So they need to structure themselves in terms of what tool to use. We provide them with ideas, we provide them with the knowledge, but they need to go through the whole process by building their own ecosystem up as a team in terms of tools, but also in terms of who is leading, who is setting the meetings, who is following up, how are we working together, team norms, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, there is also one more question from Corinne. Do Generation Z tend to think that they know it all about digital collaboration? Oh yeah, natives, digital natives.
But you know what? I sometimes think that we think more that they know. They think they know about digital tools like social media tools. I'm not sure they really believe they are big in digital collaboration, but we think they are good because they are good in any kind of social media tool. And that is the problem there. Yeah. They never learned that. Think about that. Who ever learned at a university level how to effectively, productively work together, Dropbox, Google Drive, or any other cloud storage? Nobody teaches you that. Nobody. And that's what we're doing. Yeah. This is fantastic. This is fantastic because it's learning by doing, learning by playing, learning by being part of a bigger group. And this is really, you know, the last comment for right now. Exactly this what is needed right now. So I see also some comments here in the chat. Of course, many thanks for this very interactive session as you were walking the talk, so to say. And very wonderful also to host the four of you. SIETAR Europa is inviting everyone to join our webinars and our cross-cultural coffee breaks and the intercultural playground. So the intercultural playground and the cross-cultural coffee breaks are for members only. So it's really worth joining the organization. The webinars are for everyone who is interested, and I'm sure also right now there are plenty of people who are joining just, you know, out of passion, and your passion, ladies, is contagious. So thank you very much. And a very nice evening to everyone. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye to everyone.
Bye-bye. Let's connect.